Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Core Class Shockwave. And this is Shockwave in his spaceship mode. The last time we saw this was in the Transformers War for Cybertron Siege line, and he does a pretty good job of being a little spaceship here. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll take a look at that packaging first. And you've got that spaceship artwork right up there at the top with a ginormous radar dish. Transformers Legacy, there is your big gaping hole. There is Transformers Legacy on the front, Shockwave. And over here you've got your artwork. On the back you've got your product shots. He converts in 11 steps. You've got all your warnings. And you have the Sad Baby. The Sad Baby is sad. Surprisingly, fun fact, Sad Baby doesn't like purple. So there you go. That's why he's sad. Artwork over here. He is a core class. And down low you have that information if you care to read it. So that's everything as far as the packaging goes. So let's go ahead and crack this guy open and see what came inside that box. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box, and it's core class. There's not a lot, but let's go ahead and get started. You have your little sheet of warnings, yay. You have your instruction booklet, yay. And that leaves you with the one accessory, which is that radar dish. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And we'll start right up here at the front. And yeah, for core class accessory, I think it looks pretty cool. I like that red that they have in there, and a pretty good amount of detail. And coming around here to the side, you've got a pretty good amount of sculpt work as far as a core class accessory goes. You've got a little 3mm port back there that you could use if you want to, and then you've got this little peg down here where you plug it into his hand, and then also into his back later on. So yeah, not really too bad, and it is blast effect compatible, so we'll just show that real quick here. It's not a whole lot to celebrate. You just have the option really to put a blast effect, if I can line it up, to put a blast effect right there. Look at that, wow. And you can kind of get one on the front, but it gets a little droopy on you, so you can't go too crazy with it. It doesn't stay on really securely, but you do have that option if you want to do it. So that's it as far as the accessories go. So let's go ahead and bring Mr. Shockwave in and take a look at his details. Here he is, that one-eyed scientific wonder. This is the core class Shockwave. Let's go ahead and bring him in and get a nice close-up look at this guy. Again, being core class, I'm going to do my best to try to keep him in focus here. He is a little dude. So you can see he does have that Cyclops eye right there with a decent amount of detail in there. And got that nice yellow. You've got those silver ears, horns, whatever you want to call them. And then nice sculpt work on that chest right there. So that chest is all silver. Then you get down to his abs. Looking good. Do robots have abs? I'm going to say they do because it looks like he does. And coming on down to those legs. Looks pretty good. I do like the silvers and the purples that they've chosen here. Let's take a look at the inside there, which we'll see in spaceship mode as well. So you've got some silvers and purples there. So the front of this guy looks really good. The feet look good. You've got looks like little guns down there. So I think all that works out really well. Side looks pretty good as well. Let's just do the whole side profile first so you can see that. Try to keep him from falling over. He does have very weak knees on those ball joints, which is a problem, but he's a core class. So coming on down, look at those legs, look at those thighs right there, and then even up through here, he's got pretty good sculpt work going on. And coming over here to those arms, looking at the front, he does have a very tiny Decepticon logo right there. Good detail all the way around. I would have liked to have seen some paint on this cannon hand, though. I don't know why they just left that all purple. They put paint elsewhere. Why couldn't they have done something here to, I don't know, break it up? But, you know, it is what it is. And coming over here, you've got little teeny tiny ports on his shoulders, which you can use for that radar dish if you want to. And then you've got some other sculpt work right out here. And turning him around to the back, everything looks pretty good, except for those lower legs. And they are incredibly hollow. You know, there's just no denying that. He actually looks pretty decent back here other than those legs. I mean, I can even forgive the forearms. You know, the forearms aren't all that bad. But, man, back here, I just have to keep reminding myself he's core class. He's got a hollow head. So you're not going to see him from the back all that often anyway. And what you do have right here looks pretty good. Now, quick look at this arm as well, since he's got a fist over here. Let's take a look at that purple fist. So there you go. And then he does have that Decepticon logo over there as well. So I do like these. These are Blast Effect compatible as well. So you can, if you want to have him, I don't know, doing something like that, you could. That's kind of cool. So take advantage of that if you want to. And then, of course, you can take the radar dish if you want to plug it in on his shoulder. You could do that as well. So totally up to you. This is kind of the accessories section because there's just not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to that. So there you go. You could even potentially plug it in like that if you wanted to. And that's up to you, however you want to do it. All right, so let's jump into the articulation real quick here. Articulation is fine for a core class, but those knees are so loose. Look, this just, Anyway, all right, so for the head, the only thing you're going to get is rotation. There's no up or down, no side to side. The only up or down you get is when you recess that head for transformation. Shoulder is on a ball joint, so you can bring them up on the ball that far, but then you also have the second joint right here, so you can do that if you want to do that, or straight up, like if he really wants to answer a question for the class, and go all the way around if you choose to do so. Elbows are on a ball joint, so you're going to get that much as far as the bicep or the elbow bend, and then you've got bicep rotation all the way around, and that is it. Same thing over here. It's just the only difference is you got a cannon for one hand and then a hand for another hand over here, but everything else is the same. Let's go ahead and move those out of the way. I do like you can do that. Like that you can do this though. Anyway, nothing at the waist. So coming on down here to the hips. Hips are on ball joints as well. But you can see you can get a full Shockwave Van Damme out of him. So that's always nice to see. And because they're on hips or on the ball joints, you get just the tiniest bit of rotation there. You can kick forward that far. You can kick backward that far before he starts running into himself. And then down here at the knees, aside from the fact that they're really, really loose ball joints, you got a good range of motion. So you can bend them in that far, and then you also have that point of rotation, you know, full 360, wherever you want to go with that. Nothing at the feet. They're just fixed. So articulation is okay on this guy. It is typical core class about what you would expect. I'm just really let down by the loose ball joints in those knees. That's kind of a critical joint, and I'm saddened by how loose they are. All right, so we've already talked about the accessories, about what you can do. The one thing that we didn't talk about was you can plug it into his hand. So here you go, surprise! You can plug it into his hand, and there's not a whole lot you can do with this thing. He's just listening, always listening. Unless you're gonna have it, let's get a big boomer. Unless you're gonna have it, you know, I don't know, actively doing this. You could do that, I guess, if you want to. Not sure what's going on there, but it looks really dangerous. Maybe turn it around, and I haven't even tried this. Good idea. Let's try this on camera for the first time ever. Yeah, so it's not shaped right, but yeah, you're not going to get it in there. So much for that. Not even underneath. So you can't even turn it around. My idea here was it was going to be a gun like that, but nope, not today. So yeah, plug it in, and then you have that, and take that off of there. And it doesn't plug in the greatest anyway. I mean, it holds tightly, but it's just a really shallow peg, so it comes out easily. But yeah, there you go. That's Shockwave with his accessory doing that. All right, so now that we got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the transformation and get him into a spaceship mode, which I'm starting to feel is probably my favorite mode out of these two. So the first thing that you're going to want to do to get the tiny little purple people eater transformed into his spaceship mode is you're going to take these arms right here. You're going to flip those arms up like that, so you can see the hollow forearms in the front. So have them both like that, and then you're going to bring them up on the double hinge and just bring them in like that. So that should be the orientation that you have. Do the same thing over here. And then you'll notice on these arms you have a couple of tabs on each arm. They're going to correspond to some slots that I'm going to show you here in a moment. So the next thing we're going to do is take these little wings, bring those little wings out just like that. And now you're going to take this backpack piece, you're going to flip this backpack piece up like this, and as you flip the backpack piece up, it's going to shove the head down into his chest, and then it's going to bring out this little control tower or this bridge right here. So you're going to bring this up, give that head a little bit of a push, and then bring all this together, and you'll see how that bridge popped out right there. Now on this back piece you have those slots that are going to go to those tabs, so go ahead and bring all those up, and then just take your time here, line everything up, make sure you've got everything snapped in properly, all tabbed in and looking good, just like that. And you should have something that looks similar to that. Alright, so now we'll turn our attention down here to these legs. So you're going to take these legs and you're going to rotate at the knees so the toes are pointing at each other. And then right here in this crotch area, there's a little piece that needs to rotate down. So it's not the easiest thing in the world. Hopefully I'm going to capture it on camera. So you want to have it so it's looking like that. And what that's going to do, it's going to give you a few extra millimeters here so you can collapse these legs up properly. So you want to be able to see this stuff right in here. So then you're going to bring the legs back down, and you'll see that you have a little bit more of a gap there. Now you're going to take these legs, you're going to swing them in, and as you swing them in, you see these little grooves right here, and then they're going to correspond right here to that channel on this piece right there. So then you're going to bring that leg in, and you're going to make sure that you've got this all lined up, and then bring this one in, and then you're going to squeeze those together. You do have little pegs and ports on either side. Make sure they're all lined up, and then give that a squeeze. So then you have this main part right here in the front all lined up. And now the last step really that you need to do is just take this piece right here, and you're going to bring this down, and then that's going to be, you see it's kind of sitting at an angle right there like that. That's actually going to be hopefully kind of sort of on the same level as everything else right here, so that way you've got some support in the back for your spaceship. So then the only thing we have left to do is take your radar dish, and then you have this hole right there. You're just going to plug this in to that spot right there. Make sure your arms stay tabbed in. They're not the strongest tabs, so just make sure that you keep them together. And once you have your radar dish, get it lined up there to the bridge, and there you go. You have Shockwave in his little spaceship mode. Yeah, I've got to say, for a core class, I think that he's got a really cool alt mode here. I like this spaceship kind of design for Shockwave. It just seems to fit him. You know, and of course, this would make for a really tiny gun. So totally makes sense to go something along these lines with him. But I wanted to throw him on the turntable here so you could get a nice unobstructed view, see how he comes together. And I think that he's overall just a handsome looking alt mode for this core class. Not really a whole lot else that they could have done in this mode. I mean, maybe a few paint apps here and there, but it's really not that bad. The biggest complaint that I have is just the fact that his arms are kind of hanging out the back. You know, the gun arm doesn't look bad, but the hand, you know, it's pretty obvious what it is. But other than that, I think it all comes together pretty well, and I have no major issues with it. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of those details on him. Now that we've got that turntable out of the way, we'll bring him in and get a nice close-up of what's going on. And we'll just start right up here at the front. So yeah, not a lot of surprises here. These were the same legs that we saw earlier. However, now you get a nice view right there in the front of just kind of what would be the front of the spaceship there. And you've got a little bit of sculpt work there. Looks pretty good. Coming along to the side, kind of give you that side profile view. I think it looks pretty neat. I like this. Not a whole lot to talk about, you know, just wings look good, guns look good. Coming around to the back, you can see a couple of areas where they could have put some splashes of paint, maybe right up here, for these what look to be like missile launchers, something like that. Coming around to this side, looks pretty good. Here he is from the top. And here he is from the bottom. So not as exciting on the bottom, but he still does a pretty good job of coming together. So yeah, I can dig him. Now a couple things that you can do in this mode. You do have that blast effect compatibility. So what you can do is really load this guy up in this mode. So you know he does have these guns right here on the edges of those wings. So you could plug in some blast effects there and make him look like he's going through space firing at people or bots or whatever. And then you can have the back of the radar dish if you wanted to make that his one, like an auxiliary thruster or something, so he's flying through space or flying through an atmosphere like that. And then of course he does have this gun right over here, so as a reverse or a tail gunner kind of thing, you could do something like that, and then yeah, you could have all that action going right there. And I think that's pretty cool. I do very much enjoy the fact that you can do all those things in his alt mode here. I like the way he looks in bot mode, but I really do think that for me, the alt mode here is definitely my favorite. But now that we've got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and we'll do a few comparisons here. We're not going to get too deep as far as comparisons go, but we'll bring a few in so you've got an idea of scale. For our first alt mode comparison, here we see Shockwave hanging out with another Shockwave. This is the Core Class Studio Series Shockwave. This is Shockwave as we saw him from that Transformers Dark of the Moon Bayverse movie. So you can see Core Class, these guys are pretty close as far as size go, at least in their alt mode. There is a difference in the shade of the purple, but they both have their own unique qualities here. And moving right along to our second and final alt mode comparison, this is the War for Cybertron Siege Shockwave, that leader class Shockwave in his spaceship mode. And you can see, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of inspiration drawn for the little guy here from this version. They're both essentially the same thing. Obviously, this is a leader class, this is a core class, but hey, they're both spaceships, and big guy here doesn't have a nice radar dish like somebody does. All right, now that we've got those alt mode comparisons out of the way, let's go ahead, get Shockwave back into his bot mode, and we'll do some comparisons there. Let's go ahead and get the little guy transformed back into his bot mode. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove that radar dish. So just give that a little bit of a pull. Take that off, put it off to the side. Take a little landing strut, whatever you want to call it, and bring that up. So it's like that. And once you've done that, go ahead and come down here and take care of those legs. So just give those legs a pull. These do clip in really securely, so you're going to have to give them more of a pull than what you might realize. So just be careful not to pull his legs off. So pull them out like that, bring them down, and then you have this centerpiece right under there. So if you swing those legs forward like this, and then you're going to go ahead and take this and rotate that all the way around. So you have those legs oriented correctly for bot mode, and then swing those legs, or those bottom legs at the knees, so they're facing outward that way. All right, now the next thing that we'll do is we'll go ahead and we will give this a little bit of a pull and bring this down. As we bring this down, it's going to recess that bridge, and it's going to bring that head up. So bring that all the way down, give it a push. You'll hear that head pop into place, and then you can swing these down the rest of the way. You've got slots right there, you've got tabs right there. Swing those in, give those a push, and then do the same thing with these wings. Swing those in, give them a little push. You'll hear a soft click, and then they're in. Come over here to the arms, swing the arms out like this, and then bring them down. Same thing over here, swing them down like that, and bring them down. And just like that, you have Shockwave back in his bot mode. For our first bot mode comparison, here we see both of those core class Shockwaves. On the left, of course, is the man of the hour, the core class Legacy Shockwave. On the right is the core class Studio Series Shockwave from Dark of the Moon, the Bayverse version. And for that second and final comparison, this is the War for Cybertron Siege Leader Class Shockwave. Now this is the Leader Class. I don't have all that other stuff on him that he comes with. I just like the way he looks like this. This is Shockwave as I know him and love him. So that's the way I keep him. But yeah, give you an idea here of the scale. So core class, Legacy War for Cybertron Leader Class right there. That'll do it for the comparisons. So let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. So there you have the Legacy Core Class Shockwave. And yeah, as far as Core Class figures go, this one's pretty cool. I have a soft spot for Shockwave anyway. I like the purple. I like his overall design. I like the character. So I might have a little bit of a bias there, but I do think that this is quite a nice core class figure. setting aside the quality issues that I have. But let's go ahead and jump into it, and we'll start with the overall looks, the aesthetics of the figure. I think both modes for the price actually look really good. I like his bot mode very much, but I really, really like that spaceship, that alt mode that he has in this core class. It's just something about it I really like. It's just fun, and he pulls it off really well. And the radar dish makes far more sense on the spaceship than it does in his hand. So I do like both modes, but the spaceship mode is my favorite. I think he could have used a little bit more paint. If I'm going to pick on anything, I would have liked to have seen more paint. Something on the end here, right there. You know, maybe a few more splashes of paint here and there would have helped out as well. But other than that, I think he's a good-looking little figure, so I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 on overall looks. Moving on to the articulation. Again, for a core class, he's all right. You know, we have limited expectations for the figures in this size at this price point. So no major complaints here. Just keep in mind you're going to have limited head movement. He's not going to look up or down. He's not going to have that head tilt. You're just going to turn his head left or right. Also, he has nothing at the feet, so trying to pull off truly dynamic poses is going to be really difficult to do because you don't have any ankle tilt or anything like that. You do have good articulation everywhere else, but, you know, you're going to miss it in those feet. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for articulation. Moving on to his accessories or accessory. Yeah, it's original. We haven't seen anything like this in any of the figures, so I'm going to give props for that for sure. And it really does look very nice. I'm just not entirely sure what to do with it. In the alt mode, it makes perfect sense. In the bot mode, I guess he's eavesdropping on the Autobots. I'm going to go with that. I like the fact that it has blast effect compatibility, and overall the figure itself has blast effect compatibility as well. I'm not entirely sure with that radar dish, you know, if you're going to have, ooh, careful, if you're going to have, you know, some kind of exhaust coming out the back of it, if it's going to be a thruster. Again, it makes sense in the alt mode, not so much in the bot mode, but it's kind of cool. I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 for the accessories. At least we got something, and it was something original. Making our way to quality now. This is definitely his weakest point. I get it. These are inexpensive figures. They're not breaking anybody's bank, hopefully. But it's still really frustrating and disappointing when you open a figure up and he has difficulty standing up because he's loose. That's just such a bummer when that happens. And that's the case with this guy. His knees, those ball joints in those knees are incredibly loose, particularly the left knee, and also his right hip. The ball joints in the hips are loose as well, but the one on the right is really bad as well. So it just makes it difficult to get this guy in poses that I want to put him in just because he simply can't support himself. So that's really a letdown. They're issues that I can fix on my own, but I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to buy a figure and then fix a figure. So that's really frustrating. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10 on the overall quality here, because not only is he loose in some joints, he's loose in like basically the most important joints in the figure, the knees and the hips. So 6 out of 10 there. That brings us to our final bullet, which is overall value. Now for me, I think the value is there. I like Shockwave, and I also picked this figure up on sale. So I did not pay MSRP for this figure. I'm glad I didn't. I think he might be worth MSRP, but I'm very happy with the price that I paid. I picked this guy up for $6.99 or $7 US at my local Target here in North America. So very happy with the price that I paid. I have no issues with that whatsoever. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 for overall value. So that brings us to our grand total. Out of a possible 50 points, the Legacy Core Class Shockwave gets 39 out of 50, which puts him at 78%. So I'm not going to recommend this figure simply because of the quality issues that I'm experiencing. I'm really worried that that's going to be passed on to you guys as well. I will say that, you know, if you're willing to take that risk and you know how to fix the loose ball joint issues yourself, then yeah, you may want to go ahead and pick this guy up. I'm just not going to throw my recommendation on him, but he does look good, and he is a fun little core class to play with. Not my favorite core class by far, but definitely my favorite core class between the two Shockwaves. So I do very much like the way he looks, and I think he's got a nice shelf presence. So with that, that's going to wrap up the review. I hope you guys got some good information. I hope you were entertained by this, and if you haven't already done so, please be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. feel free to leave us a comment. I try to get to them as soon as I can, but sometimes life gets in the way. And finally, my big ask is, as the channel grows, if you know someone who would enjoy this channel or enjoy the videos that we do here, please share this channel or the videos with them. It's just all kinds of fun to get the feedback from everybody and to see the channel grow. So that would be a favor that I would ask and greatly appreciate. So with that, that's going to wrap it up. Until we see you guys in the next review, take care.